Rouse Fly Box. Today we're going to tie the burlap. The burlap was a steelhead pattern that I was shown out west many years ago. It was effective and it was colorable at that time, and I adapted it as a trout fly and warm water fly probably about a half dozen years ago. I decided to give it a try. It was tied quite large originally. I slimmed it down, and let's go over how we tie it. I start out with an Orvis bead head, or any curved shank hook will work, size 12. Remember, this pattern was originally tied as a very large stone nymph, so this is minuscule compared to the original steelhead pattern I was shown. And we're gonna add to that a gold tungsten bead and 7 wraps of .20, 020 lead wire or lead substitute. And we're going to seat that lead behind the bead. Get that seated in there good. Get that bead in position, give us a little bit of extra weight. And start our thread behind the lead, build up a small dam, help bind it down, and then work your thread back where you're just slightly coming into the bend of the hook. It's going to take you about even with the barb, point of the barb. And we're using 6/0 dark brown uni thread. Next material you're going to tie in is your lead wire. I use a fine lead wire, or a fine gold wire, I'm sorry. And we're going to tie that in right behind the lead and bind it back down to the initial tail point. And what you're going to do is you're going to take your little square. You can see I've had this quite a while. Start out with a small square of burlap, and you're just going to grab one strand and pull it out of the square. And you're going to tie in your tail. You take that strand, and you usually end up with one end a little bit fuzzier. It doesn't matter. You can pick it out if you want to, but it'll usually have a little bit fuzzier end to one end. And you're going to tie it in the tail on this curved shank hook, half the length of the hook. You're going to tie it in back here at the point of the barb. 3 or 4 wraps to tie it in, sweep it back, and you're going to bring your thread up onto the lead. At this point you're going to wind your burlap. Now this will flatten out slightly as you wind it. You don't want to pull it too hard because you can pull it apart, because it is a fibrous material. And you're just going to wrap it forward. Until you get about right where the lead is, but you're going to bring it up onto the lead and tie off at that point, but you're not going to cut your butt end. At this point you're going to counter wrap your gold wire. Should be able to get 4 good wraps. The 5th one might take you up into the thorax, and that's fine. I just bring it right up onto the lead, and I bring it up behind the bead. Pull that burlap out of the way a little bit. And then I'm going to give a few wraps to keep that gold wire in place. And you're going to take your butt end of that burlap and you're going to build a thorax. Come back over to about the 30% mark, average spacing for your thorax. You're going to bring your burlap around till you got a sizable proportion. Same as what you would expect from dubbing. And you're going to cut it off. Cut off your butt end. And whip finish. You'll see you'll get a fairly buggy appearance right off the bat. I cut a couple of those flyers off just for coloring's sake. They will come back, no worries. And then what you're going to do is you're going to take a brown permanent marker. I use Copic. Take the flat edge of the Copic pen, dark brown, and you're going to swipe across just the top. Now this marker and any permanent marker with this material is going to bleed, so you don't want to overdo it, but you want it to bleed. It's not just a two-tone nymph. And you're going to come back and do the same thing just on the top. That's all you need. And you'll see what that does is it blends in. It gives like a shaded effect. It'll be a dark brown back. The sides will be a coppery brown. And then the bottom will be a little bit lighter. Not a lot lighter, because it'll actually start to bleed through in the bottom as well. And there you have it. The tail will pick out naturally the first time you fish it. It'll come loose. It'll be a very buggy body. Very effective pattern. Very simple to tie. Very cheap. You can get burlap anywhere. And if you're looking for something to tie for something you go through a lot of, say you want a panfish nymph, you want to drift below poppers, this fly is perfect for it. You can tie up 100 of these for 10 cents. But that's the burlap. Hope it adds to your box as it has mine. Good luck. See you on the water.